to call this meeting into order. It is exactly 6:01. Before we get started, I'd like to make sure that everyone has their cell phone off so that we can hear the business being attended to. With that, I would like to go ahead and ask Ms. Cheryl Fox to do the invocation.
Would everyone please stand? The prayer for this meeting would be that Heavenly Father, you come to us at this meeting, praying for your guidance, your wisdom, and our compassion. Help us in a meaningful discussion to unite us as a group to help better our communities. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance, American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Right, strange enough to see over there. Okay, we've got a couple of speaker request forms this evening. I will call them out as I receive them. When your name is called, would you please go to the podium? Well, the podium, there you go. It's usually over there, sorry. Go to the podium and state who you are and where you live, and then we were happy to hear you. Just as a reminder, you have 3 minutes for your piece, and don't expect us to go back and forth, because doing this is just for us to hear you, and it's not a back and forth or a question, so don't get upset if that's okay, if that's what you're expecting. With that, we'll do Mary Lee Thompson.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Mary Lee Thompson. I do not live in the city of Montgomery, but I own 2 properties in the historic district, 914 and 920 College Street. And I'm here because the drainage problems that are occurring, and Carol, my neighbor, probably knows this as well, have become catastrophic. So I have a little video of what happened in the recent rains, and I'm almost about to be flooded because of the drainage problems. So if I could step forward, I'd be happy to show that to you. It's a very quick video.
Do y'all want to crowd around, or should you, maybe you should send it, well, you could go ahead and come over. Have you seen it? Okay.
No. I've seen it live.
Okay. Front row.
This is my driveway. This is the bridge.
The famous bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that it's quite deep. It's going over the road, and it is going into my garage. It's not in my house yet, but my neighbors, or my tenants, it's about halfway up the wheels of their tires on my driveway. So we have a big issue there. And here's some pictures of the current drainage pipes that are in place, that are undersized and causing the problems.
Can I ask you to go back to the podium, just because we have to do the record? Yeah, thank you. Just want to make sure we get you on record.
So my concern is, I've owned these properties for 20 years, and when I bought the property, it was a very small ditch. The gentleman who is my tenant stood in the ditch today, and it's this deep with him, with no water in it. With the water in it, it will be over his head, and it's not only problematic for the flooding issue, but it's a danger. So I would ask that the city, with their planning and zoning, get busy and fix the problem before we have a catastrophe.
Ask her address.
Your address is 914 and 916 College?
914 and 920.
20, okay.
There is a home in between us,
Okay.
and they actually have some retaining wall damage because the water is rushing through, and it's starting to bow their wall as well. But it can't be ignored any longer. Mm-hmm. That's my point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Tyler Cooper. Tyler, please approach the podium.
I have a few things to hand out to you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll do some like this.
All right, so my name is Tyler Cooper, and I live at 118 Anna Springs Lane. I'm here to voice my concerns around the development of unapproved plans on the Cornerstone Community Church property and to inquire about actions the city and/or church may need to take to rectify the situation. Ever since the church purchased, cleared, sodded, and paved the neighboring lot of theirs, heavy rainfall has overwhelmed our drainage ditch and French drain system, flooding my pool with mud and debris every soaking rain event that we get. I believe it has also contributed to the further washing out of our driveway and the culvert system. We have lived here for 4 years and never experienced this amount of flooding and rushing water. All our flooding events I am referencing herein have occurred since October 26, 2023, which to me is not a coincidence in timing as it relates to the development of the church property. I've emailed Gary Palmer about the issue, who stated that this is a private property issue and that the city can't do much without a clear-cut code violation. Officer Tilley visited our property to survey the issue and take pictures, but stated last week that it remains a civil matter between private property owners. This is where I respectfully disagree with Mr. Palmer. After reviewing both the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council agendas and minutes, I made the following discoveries, which I documented in chronological order. I also aligned the ordinance that pertains to each article in the packet that I have given you and you can have. For time purposes, here's a short summary to this point. April 4th, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The P&ZC approved the rezoning to institutional from residential. During the meeting, which is available on YouTube, the committee discussed various concerns for neighboring residents. Mr. McCorkadall assured that all ordinances and approvals would be followed, especially since the property was being replatted and developed to abutting residents. On April 11th, 2023, at the City Council meeting, the City Council approved the rezoning motion after a brief discussion, also available on YouTube. Mr. Olson asked if the rezoning would allow for the church to build a parking lot without further rezoning. Mr. McCorkadall confirmed, saying it would require them going through whatever governmental process is required to build a parking lot. This brings me to my point of why I don't believe this is a private civil issue. If this property was replatted and developed according to the new rezoning, it should be subject to several ordinances, including Chapter 78, Article 3, Section 7860 through 64, 78 Article 4, Section 78 through 96, 78 123, 78 126, 78 161, 162, and Section 98 239. Many of which require the approval of the city engineer and/or city council. And since their approval is warranted, my questions are: 1, did the church go to the county and file for replatting, then file for the appropriate approvals for the work to be completed? If so, were these approvals granted? If those approvals were granted, did the city engineer or inspector physically visit the site before approving any alterations to the property? What inspections were conducted and by what means? If the church did not adhere to the standards contained within, does that not warrant enforcement or mitigation for any of those infractions? If there are obvious infractions, why is code enforcement not able to act? And 7, if they filed the appropriate paperwork, is it incompetence from within the city that they blindly approved the plans with no actual follow-ups or recommendations, did not follow through on their end of the ordinance guidelines, or simply not care as to avoid strife with the church? Please understand that we have no issue with the rezoning of the church or take umbrage of their existence. It is a welcomed addition to the community with many great parishioners. Our issue lies with the physical and financial damage to our property due to the poor drainage of their property and the potential incompetence in action of the city. I provided this packet with emails, invoices, damaged fixtures, timelines, ordinances, and questions, along with the quotes directly from the previous City Council and P&ZC meetings. I also have video evidence of our concerns during the last storm, which was May 30th, 2024, which I have in a draft that I will be happy to forward to in email after this meeting. Lastly, I invite anyone to visit our property anytime. My contact information is included in the packet. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Consent agenda. Item number 1, consideration of possible action on the May 28th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Council, what's your pleasure?
I have a question on page 11 of the minutes.
Number 13, it said that Brian Lucas with Hayes Utility was present. I thought that gentleman's name was Philip Wright. Can we check into that and make sure that if it's Brian Lucas, then I need to apologize to him for calling him Philip Wright. Other than that, the minutes are fine.
Council, is there a motion?
What motion are you actually wanting? Because that we just need to do the inquiry because I don't know. Let me see.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May the 28th, 2024 with corrections if needed.
I second that motion.
It's been motioned by Carol and seconded by Cheryl that we accept the minutes as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, and requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda of the May 28, 2024 regular meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the May 28, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Next item on your agenda is consideration and possible action. Item number 2, consideration and possible action regarding approving execution of an interlocal agreement with Montgomery Independent School District.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sir.
You may recall this item has been on a workshop agenda, previously on the regular council meeting. MISD is building the CT Center on Lone Star Parkway, just west of Buffalo Springs. And in that development, there is a water line that we required to be extended. It's a loop that services that area. And if you recall the discussion, we offered to pay $75,000, not to exceed $75,000 for that. The attorney drafted up the agreement, sent it to MSD, they accepted that agreement. It's in your packets, and tonight the approval will bind us to that $75,000, which will likely come out of fund balance. And we'll have to answer your questions now.
Just something noted on the signer, the signature page, it has Nikki's name. Do we need to get a new page with Dr. Ruffin's signature on it?
Maybe. If we do.
Or if we can, I don't know if we can mark it out, if it'd be acceptable if we marked it out and put Mr.
If
Green.
you guys approve it tonight, then we can make that change.
Okay, I just didn't know if it's gonna have to come back because we couldn't, because of the page. Okay, thank you. Council, what is your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Montgomery Independent School District as presented.
I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded, moved by Carol, seconded by Cheryl, that we accept the execution of the interlocal agreement with Montgomery Independent ISD District as presented. This motion is debatable and amendable and requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting this interlocal agreement as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the interlocal agreement with Montgomery Independent ISD District. Item number 3 on your agenda, consideration and possible action regarding approving expenses for emergency relocation of an 8-inch force main located at the southern edge of Lone Star Parkway, approximately 100 yards east of SH 149.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you all may be aware, you received in your email notification that we were doing an emergency relocation of the lift station 8, number 8 force main along Lone Star Parkway, just west of Town Creek. While Right Solutions was performing the repairs to the 4-inch force main, it was also discovered that the 8-inch force main coming from lift station 2, which heads east, was also exposed and in danger of being compromised. We asked Right Solutions to put together an estimate, which is included in your packet. Since then, we have had to do a realignment to move the force main further away from the creek bank because it is continuing to erode, and we want to make sure that it is no longer in danger regardless of the erosion, as much as we can control. So there is an updated estimate, which I passed out to you. The updated estimate comes in at $60,300. The difference between what I handed out to you and what is in your packet is an additional 100 feet to account for relocating it closer to the pavement of Lone Star Parkway, again, to try to get away from the creek.
But that includes 100 more feet, is that what you're saying? So that's the difference of the $6,550?
That's correct. It's 100 additional feet. So this is the force main coming from lift station 2, which carries over half of the flow of the entire city, then takes it up the hill to a manhole on the east side of Lone Star Parkway and Buffalo Springs. So this is a very critical force main.
This size is going to be adequate for our future developments that we're going to speak of later on?
It is. It is. The other thing to consider is when the Town Creek wastewater treatment plant gets rebuilt, this force main will go offline. It'll stay in place, but it will not be in use because everything that comes to lift station 2 will be treated at the Town Creek wastewater treatment plant. This force main is going to stay in place in case we ever need to take that plant down for service. We can continue to pump it back to the Stewart Creek plant. So we want to be able to have an alternate just in case the plant needs to come down for service. But yes, this will be plenty to accommodate future growth.
I make a motion that we accept the consideration of possible action regarding approving expenses for the emergency relocation of the, is it still an 8-foot? It's still
8-inch.
okay. Force main with the additional 100 feet for the additional cost of $6,550, which was in our packet.
Second.
It has been motioned and seconded that we accept item number 3, expenses for emergency relocation of an 8-inch force main located on the southern edge of Lone Star Parkway, approximately 100 yards east of 149, for the amount of $6550, which is stated on the. Is it this one, the one you gave us, or the one that's in the packet that we need to? The 60,300.
The one that I
This
handed
one.
you, 60,300.
This is
The 60,300.
Yes.
Okay, so for the 60,300, make sure that we've got that. It's not the 65. Thank you. Okay, great. This motion is debatable, amendable, or requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting the emergency relocation for the force main at Lone Star Parkway, approximately 100 yards east of SH 149 for 60,300, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and we will accept the item number 3 as presented. Item number 4 on your agenda, consideration and possible action on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, amending Article 3, impact fees of Chapter 90, utilities of the City Code of Ordinances by increasing the impact fees for water and wastewater improvements that are attributable to new development in the city's water and wastewater impact fee service area within the corporate boundaries of the city, amending City Ordinance Number 2018-06, dated March 27th, 2018, providing a Texas Open Meetings Act clause, providing a severability clause, and providing for an effective date after publication.
So what is in front of you is the impact fees. As I understand, these have been presented to y'all a few times. You had a public hearing on these as well. Just to remind you, these were reviewed by the Capital Impact Advisory Committee, which was the P&Z acting as the CIAC as well. The public hearing, as I mentioned, was held. So a brief review on this. We are proposing about a 9% increase for all meter sizes across the board. This will help alleviate the cost of necessary infrastructure improvements because of growth over the next 5 to 10 years. This is in line with other municipalities around. This is not anything that's out of line with what other local governments are doing.
What was the 5 or 10 years for? 5 to 10 years?
We do a 10-year projection of all the capital projects that will be needed because of growth.
Right.
And that's the cost that is used to help determine what the impact fees are going to be, as well as the number of connections that we're anticipating over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, so this is a 6-year update. You recommend we do it more often than that?
You can do it as often as you like. What I would recommend is no longer in between updates than about 5 years. It gives you a chance to review your project list again, refresh your connection counts and account for any changes in growth trends. If development slows or really speeds up even more than it already is, gives you a chance to accommodate for that. If something major and catastrophic happens in the market or in the city's project needs, we can always revisit it at any time.
The law actually requires you to do it at least every 5 years, so you could do it sooner if you want. You have to make changes that Jess suggested, but at minimum every 5 years.
Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.
And Catherine, the developers, is there already some that are grandfathered in because they've already got developments going, so this is moving forward once it's adopted, correct?
So impact fees are assessed, excuse me, they're assessed at the time of platting. So whenever the final plat is recorded, that's when the impact fees of that day are assessed and locked in for that platted section, whether it be a single family section or a development, whatever it may be. With these new impact fees going into place, there's a 90-day grace period. So any developments that come in within the next 90 days would still go under the current impact fees. And then after that 90 days, everything would be subject to these new impact fees.
Upon final plat. Upon final plat. Okay.
Yes, final plat. So they're assessed at the time of final platting and due at the time of connection to the system unless otherwise outlined in a development agreement.
Is there a motion or other questions?
I move we accept item 4 as stated.
Motion by Stan,
I'll second that motion.
a second by Carol. This motion is debatable, amendable, or requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting this ordinance as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept this ordinance as presented. Thank you. Item number 5 on your agenda, discussion of the annexation process and direction on the request of the Havenshire subdivision located on east side of FM 2854, approximately a quarter mile south of SH 105, to be annexed into the city.
Mary, do you want me to kind of recap?
Yes, please, sorry. Yep.
So we had a request from one of the homeowners from Havenshire a couple weeks ago. I believe they came and spoke at our workshop agenda last month, asking if the city would annex them into the city. We looked at it, decided this needed to come to the city council for an agenda item for discussion. So I'll just defer. I don't know if anybody from Havenshire is here that wants to speak on behalf of the subdivision, but I just would like to open it up for discussion.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to approach the podium?
Can we all come up here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave, I didn't see you sitting over there. I'd throw Marie at you.
Okay, so we've got several people from Havenshire here. We really just want to try to save our neighborhood. It's 20 houses, it's one street. I live at the end of the cul-de-sac, and there's a development over in Conroe, ETJ, on the other side of the creek that plans on, they've connected to our cul-de-sac. They built a little bridge. And from everything we have, and I have paper, I don't know if you need anything. I know I've probably given y'all these before. But based on their schematic plot, they are proposing our street as their secondary access, and that is a 500-house subdivision, and we don't want the traffic. So what we want to do is keep our street closed to all pass-through traffic. And if the way to do that is annexation with the city of Montgomery, then that's more than likely what we want to do. We really just need to see if that's possible, that we can make sure that they can't still tie into the street even if we annex. That's our fear.
So I know, Alan, we have to be asked by the residents, and then we need to look at several factors, right? The roads, the infrastructure, what would that look like, and impact the city. And then, of course, once council's presented with that, they can make the decision then whether they would like to annex or not.
Right, and so the process is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, and it can go a couple of ways depending on whether you have, all of the property owners requesting annexation or only some portion and not 100%. So, assuming the property is in the city's ETJ, which I've been told that it is, then it's possible to annex the property. Annexation, for cities these days begins with a petition from the property owners. If you have 100% of the property owners sign off on the petition, then the process is pretty simple. It involves a public hearing and it involves negotiation of a service plan for the area, and then the council after the public hearing can approve the service plan and the annexation. If you don't have 100% of the property owners sign off on the petition, then an election is required. So it would have to be scheduled for an election on one of our uniform election days in Texas, which is 2 times a year. So either this November or May. So it really depends on the residents filing a petition, that's the beginning of the process, and whether or not they have 100% of the property owners signing off on the petition.
If they're interested in that, where would they find the petition?
They should contact an attorney to assist them with drafting a petition. But I'm sure that, if somebody Googles annexation petitions online these days, you can certainly find samples.
I have a question about the 100% property owners. Is it 100% of the property owners or governed by the HOA? We are in an HOA, our street is an HOA, so as long as we have a motion passed and signed by our HOA council, is that 100% participation?
It's 100% of the property owners.
Thank you.
And it goes by the tax rolls. So you get a certified copy of the tax rolls, and it's based on the tax rolls verification of the ownership.
I think we could get 100% if I can tell them that it will stop that development from using the road. But I don't know if I can tell them, oh, maybe, do you want to pay city taxes for maybe? Then I don't know. So I need to know that what we need can actually happen, that we can close that cul-de-sac.
So I can tell you that if the property is annexed, the city council could vote to close the road and could prevent, a connection. But that, again, would take a vote of the city council, so I can't give
So
you
there's
that.
no way to know that before.
That would be following annexation, that the vote would happen? Close the road?
It would,
But in the road, a dedicated county road?
It's a county road
Right now.
Let me ask you one other question that's kind of a curiosity thing, and I know that when I ask it, it's going to be kind of strange. The house sitting north of y'all on the acreage, is that part of your subdivision?
Yes, and he's on board with,
He's on board with it, okay.
okay? I guess, do you have one?
You're so
I do.
smart.
If we were to go to our homeowners and try to propose annexation or get people to sign a petition, what other kinds of benefits could we offer them as becoming part of the city?
So the city provides infrastructure, which I believe y'all have, and that's part of entertaining this idea as what does sewer look like, what does water look like, how good are your wells, how old are the wells, because if the city takes you in and then in 2 years we have to put in a whole new subdivision, basically, that's got to be taken into consideration. So we would want to, and also look at the street, make sure the street comes in good shape also. So there's some things that's got to be considered, and then once those are presented. And then we would maintain that, and then you get emergency services as well. So you get city taxes. Nothing changes with your ISD. You just pay city taxes, and then your infrastructure, meaning your water and sewer, is maintained by us, and then the road is maintained by us. And then we can cut it off at the.
Like city water would come
Well, that's part of like, do y'all have city, I know you don't have city water now, but did you want it? And like, that's part of all the discussion that we would have in the interim.
That typically becomes part of the discussion, as you say, of the service plan.
Yeah.
Whether there be, I don't know where the closest water line would be, and whether there'd be an extension of that in, X number of years. And as you say, they receive the emergency services like city police protection.
Yeah.
That would be great. Those types of things like sewer and water and of course the road would be things that I think we would need to communicate to our homeowners to be able to sign a petition. And that sort of study, would you not be able to perform that until after you have a petition signed by the homeowners? Or can that study of those services happen
Simultaneously?
so that we can use that information to kind of go forward and get a petition signed?
So, Alan, would you suggest that we take an inventory or how their water and sewer is provided today?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Gary's saying yes.
it's certainly
Yeah.
worth exploring.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of the chicken and the egg kind of
Yeah.
situation. I mean, how much time and money do you want to invest?
Sure.
If you aren't sure that they're sure. And by the same token, how much time and money do you want to invest if you aren't sure that the city's sure?
Exactly.
So there is some of that we have to agree to work together to kind of see if we can close that gap.
Yeah, and we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what the water and sewer and the road conditions are, but that's something that we could, I guess, potentially start working on, Gary, or ask how that's provided today. I believe y'all have got individual wells?
We have one
One well, and then you have
Individual.
septics, okay.
Individual stuff.
There you go.
And I drove down there and I drove all the way to the end, so.
You like our little street?
Big barricade there,
Put it on the spot.
Yeah.
Walking in. What about the front entrance? Like we have the brick structure and pay a yard person to maintain that front area. Would that be part of the city services or would that still be?
That's typically HOA that does that.
Okay.
So I have a question. If we did do this and the portion between the cul-de-sac and the property line that's unpaved, the whole problem, I feel like. Because I live right there, if I could absorb that into my property, if we replatted it after annexing, do I have to have the adjoining property owner's permission, the developer that's trying to use our road? Do they have to sign off on me owning that piece? Or once it's city, is it not mattering? Does that make sense?
That's an Alan question.
So it depends on what it is that you're replatting. The owners of the property that's being replatted would have to sign off. And your subdivision plat that I've seen, it appears to me that the other developer doesn't own any part of that.
No, it's just a Hampshire right away. They just extended it to the property line. But I was told by the county before we started looking into annexation that in order for me to try to take that I would have to get the developer's permission, which is obviously not going to happen. So I'm just trying to be sure with annexation that it works differently.
As long as it does not create a landlocked situation on the other side, then I would disagree with what the county said.
Thank you for your time.
I have one more question, sorry, if you don't mind. We were told that while the county could vote to close the road at a council meeting, or sorry, the city could vote to close the road at a council meeting, it wouldn't be a forever guarantee because a future city council could change their mind or for whatever reason. What would be a reason that a future city council might want to open that road back up? If the property on the opposite side is City of Conroe or Conroe's jurisdiction. Would there be a reason you would think of that the City of Montgomery it would be in their interest to open our road?
If they want to pay us $10 million to open it, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything why we would,
Because it's Conroe on the other
You
side,
can't
so I understand.
Right.
say what the other council
Yeah, I would
would
do.
want to do.
Yeah.
You have no idea
There's no guarantee,
what
yeah.
But
the
Montgomery
situation
City
might
could
be.
Like Conroe, ETJ over there, where they are, they could approach Montgomery and say, we'll give you $10 million if you let us use that road. And
Could,
all of
right.
a sudden, even though we're part of the city and we annexed, I got the same problem happen on it. That could happen. That's why we're scared. Okay?
I mean, they could dangle a carrot, they could not dangle a carrot. I mean, we don't know what we don't know, you know?
Yeah.
That's true, but for Conroe right now, I don't think they
They're
got
way
$10
too
million.
much in debt.
They got a
Yes,
bad
sir.
budget.
Yeah, their budgets. Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. And number one, who do we negotiate with the city as far as getting the paperwork we need to go forward? Do we do it with the city attorney? Do you have someone else we negotiate with, or do we do it with the council?
I would suggest go to Gary Palmer. He's our city administrator.
Me, I'm the city administrator, I'm kind of the conduit to the city council.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Also, a couple other quick questions. When we, let's say we become annexed, right? We turn that street over to the city, correct? Does that imply ownership?
Yes.
Yes, so the city would own the street, correct?
Right, it's not a private street, it's a county street, right?
I'm sorry?
It's a county road right now, right?
Yes, the county owns the road.
So the city.
Some say it's a county road, I said it's not a county road, okay? So is my choice. But that's a whole different thing, okay? What I'm saying, my problem is this.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't think it's a county road. I think they're blocked from coming in there. I think the developer's blocked. I think they interfered when they gave them a permit to put a bridge across that creek. That's what I think. And I've got the paperwork that says that. Now, my fear is that I've dealt with a lot of city councils, and counties and so forth. My fear is that today, I mean, I'm 80, I probably won't be around anyway, but in the future, if we give this to the city, nothing would prevent the city council from coming in and saying, we want to open that road.
I mean, yeah.
Am I correct?
I can't imagine a need, but I mean, sure. I mean, they'd probably always, they can ask, right? And the county can ask.
It's a matter of the council.
That's right.
Okay, that's my concern. Now, if we go, as Naomi was talking about, that portion of the street, county road, whatever you want to call it, from the cul-de-sac over to the creek, okay? Not paved, never has been paved. County signs say, no through street, okay? All of that's, nothing, I've never seen a document that gives that road to the county. Never seen a document, et cetera, et cetera. However, if we are annexed, and if the city takes control of that road, that street, down to that cul-de-sac, which is right in front of Naomi's house, if we could get that portion, that 80 feet, given to Naomi as part of her property replat, given it to Naomi or whoever, would that prevent the city, without using eminent domain or some other way, would it prevent them from opening that street up to that level?
Yes, but as you know, they would have the ability of eminent domain, should they choose to do in the future.
Right, and I understand that, absolutely.
With that, I would agree with you, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, do you have anything to add to the discussion? No? Okay. With that, we'll move right along. We have nothing for executive session this evening, so how about council inquiry? Nothing?
No inquiry.
Okay, all right. With that, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
It's been moved by Carol, seconded by Cheryl to adjourn this meeting. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, it is 6:41. We adjourn this meeting. Thank you for coming this evening.